Hey guys, it's Camilla from Code with Camilla. Today we're starting Level 4 Object-Oriented Programming.
Thank you, Camille. So, if we look at the history of programming, I believe there were two major shifts in the way we write programs. The first one called structured programming, and the next one is object-oriented programming. So, before we had even structured programming, the way we wrote programs, uh, those were it's called linear. So you write, so your code runs from top to bottom without any change in the flow. With structured programming, we introduced loops, functions, so your code could just go up and down. It's not like you constantly going from top to bottom. It's not like a batch process. So uh, those loops and conditions and functions, they were introduced in structure programming, which changed a lot this how we write programs. And we already learned structure programming in levels 1 and 3. So we learned about loops, conditions, functions. Then uh, there was so at that time there was a very famous book called Algorithms plus Data Structures Equal Programs. It's a 1976 book, and it talks. So it explains that in order to write a program, anything on a computer, so you have to think about the data you're using and the algorithms or functions what you do. So what you're working on and what you're doing, because programming is all about data transformation. So for instance, the camera which records video from so it gets the light, incoming light, transforms that light to some bits and like bytes and writes to the disk. So it's all, so this is program is transformation data from, so use data, there are some algorithms, and that's your program. So this concept was taken further with object-oriented programming. What is object? So objects are actually, it's like a, it's already, it's a black box which includes data inside and some algorithms. So when we talk about object-oriented programming, when I started this learning object-oriented programming, I didn't really like it because I didn't understand how you use it. But what they're trying to do with object-oriented programming, it's so with object-oriented programming, we try to describe the world around us in some simple concepts instead of doing something like very like mathematic. You're doing more like a real world, right? So if you trying to write a program for the school, so you will create an object called school, and the school will have different objects like teachers and students and teachers. So teacher is an object. What he does, the teacher teaches, right? Students learn. It's not the other way around. So this is how you describe. So with object-oriented programming, you can create your own data types for, because right now we only know about simple data types like int, string, but with object, you create your own data type. You call it teacher. You say what teacher does, what teacher has. Teacher has a name, gender, uh, the class they teach, right? All of this you describe, and you make your own uh,
Program?
data type, and then you can use it. Yeah, you can create your object. So there are three main concepts that most object-oriented languages support. They are called here encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. We will learn all about those in later lectures, videos. For now, we just say this is a three. Why we're looking at those three? Because C# supports all three. In most advanced languages, they support those three uh, features. So let's look on sample C# program. Like it's the first thing. So when you create a console application, this is what it does, right? And if you can see, the structure of the program in C# is hierarchical. So this is the class. See, that's the main concept in object-oriented programming. That's so class is your data type, and the instance of the class is called object. So if you look here, so this is hierarchical approach, and classes stay always inside something called namespaces. So what namespace is? The namespace is so why do you need namespaces? Imagine you write your class called program, and imagine how many people wrote the class called program. Billions, maybe, right? Because this is out the gate. So when you create an application, it immediately creates class program. It's like by default. So everyone starts with this class. So and if you want to use someone else's code, someone else's class, you already have program. He has a program or she has a program. So how you know?
Just like to separate them?
Yeah, so this is how you separate, right? So you say, because this is your namespace. I created OOP. You created Camilo's brother namespace. And if I call the program class, and if I want to reference your program, I would say, give me class program inside this namespace. In fact, every single class it belongs to some namespace. If you look at the console, you see this console? It says class system.console. It's not class console. What it says, the console class inside namespace system. So, and how we access, so this is the one thing that you have to understand about C#. It's one of the main concepts. It's called dot notation. So every time when you want to go through hierarchy, what you do hierarchy name and dot. See? Mm-hmm. So this console is inside system namespace. So in order to reference system namespace, what you have to do system dot. Now you can get to all classes inside system namespace. A lot, yes. And the console is one of the classes. It is a class, and this is the function inside the class. We will learn more about the functions. But you would say, how console knows? So probably someone already wrote console name class, and how C# knows that this console is console from system, not from, I don't know, Camilo's brother namespace. How C# knows? The thing is, so C# created things like this. You see this using directive. It says, if you don't know the class, so if it's a class, and if you don't know which namespace it's from, look on the top, and you can put different using statements, right? So you could do system collections. So this is another namespace. So it will. So it says if it's console, and I don't know, this console was not described anywhere, class. Look here and find if this console is inside one of these namespaces. That's why if you put it here, it knows that's where the console is.
So basically, namespace is basically like defining what the program is, and then so system is like basically pretty much everything you use, like and stuff like that.
Yes. So
even exceptions.
Yes. So system is one of the main namespaces in it developed by creators of C#. It just gives you most, like, all those building blocks you use in your program. So you pretty much always use system namespace because you always need something from it. But you say, oh, okay, so we have a console, so it knows system. What happens if I remove here, and I can prove you it really does look for here. If I remove this system and I try to build it, see, it doesn't know that where the console came from because we removed this directive called using system. So what you do, if you don't put it here, what you have to do, you have to type every time. You have to type this one. Now it knows it's all, and now it builds it. Oh, it doesn't, because we removed the console. So now it knows where the console came from. It came from system. So you can do it like this, or you can put here in using. In that case, you don't have to type this this one
Over
here.
and over
Yes,
and
that's
over.
the whole point, because we all know programmers are lazy. So instead of typing, to reduce typing, so what they do, they say, oh, let's put it here using. And now we can just don't need to type this anymore, because we are lazy. So the main takeaway is, we're starting this video, we're starting object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming works with objects, obviously. We finally addressed what this is. So because we've been ignoring this for 40 videos, what this namespace is, now you understand. So namespace is how C# packages all the classes to avoid clashing between classes written in someone else and your classes. Because what we doing again, programmers are lazy and they like to use someone else's code written already instead of writing the same thing over and over and over again.
That's it for today on Code with Camilla. Come back next week for more videos, and don't forget to subscribe.